Hello and welcome. Thank you, everyone, for joining the IOV Foundation New York, Internet Value Foundation New York, episode 154. And for all of those who get to come and listen to this space. So, OC, welcome and thank you for joining so quickly, man. I was like, poof, as soon as I joined, you were in here. I was like, oh, dang. It's faster than me, man. But got a quick little space today. Of course, there's a lot of spaces going on right now. I got that space talking about the possible launch of a XRP ETF. Of course, I should say a filing for that. Sorry if that's real or not. We're not yet disclosed. And then Crypto Queen I think has a space she said to me at 4:30, which is starting, and then John Deaton from a thought of how we think about physics and operations inside of microchips with the studies of photonics. And so it's really going to be my gravy train topic today. Anybody who wants to come up, please feel free to hit the request. I'll send some invites out to you guys. I'm going to put some info up top. I'm also making some food right now, so I'm probably going to be a little quiet here and there. And yeah. I'm going to need a few moments here just to look for some of the content that I want to put up top.
Yeah, I'll jump in a few minutes. I'm in Carline right now.
You're in a car line?
Yeah, it's yeah, it's a late pickup day.
Welcome up, 808. How you doing today, man? Aloha, brother. And it is going to take me just a moment to get this content that I want to put up top, just because it's a video starting off. First thing I want to post the video, and I posted it, I think over a year ago already. Though I know it's on my account.
It was just me.
Beautiful.
But
Found
hey, for the three body problem, were you talking about the um the the celestial bodies and what was that
Yeah,
now?
so it
Okay, okay.
starts with the acknowledgement of realizing that there was a three body problem because of Newtonian physics and the operations that we were observing in our solar system with the celestial bodies.
Yeah.
That's
So the
100%
predicting
correct. Yeah.
motion of the celestial bodies interacting with gravity and stuff like that.
Exactly. Yes, it's a three body problem, and so I'm gonna bring it more to a something very akin to all of us is obviously microchips, our phones, all of the devices we use, and talk about how the acknowledgement and understanding of the three body problem, as well as maybe learning to solve and understand the conceptual issues with our not understanding of how we not understand it truly today yet, is in my opinion going to be something that unlocks the ability to have the photonics, the architecture of the way that the transistors in our microchips are releasing electromagnetic frequencies back and forth, um, and going to increase that scale nominally thousands of percents possibly, and even maybe in our lifetimes, and I think it's really relative to things like quantum computation and generative AI models that will be able to take these mathematical properties and formulate it into graphs and spit out easy to understand information, which we can use, of course, and articulate. And but yeah, this is I think it's such an interesting thing because it's such a large issue, yet something that's not really talked about in relevance to microchips or like our everyday kind of activities. But a celestial body thing, nonetheless, is definitely talked about quite a lot. Yeah, I babbled there for a little bit though, 808. So if you would like to jump on in more about it, or give your thoughts on what you understand from the three body problem, and or please feel free to.
I know, I do know, I agree with you with acknowledging it, though, it's looked like an unsolvable issue or an issue or a barrier in a sense. But to me, it's just a misunderstanding where we start to acknowledge it, we start to begin to see its complexity, whether through movement of celestial bodies or even your own two body problem within your own life changes. Doesn't demand exact solutions, but deeper understanding. In the same way of how I always bring it in, even to like I always bring in my culture into this, but even the way of how it was acknowledged through my ancestor, to the rigid terms, through relationships, rhythm, and balance, through these different life cycles we see within nature itself. All these different phenomenons happening was looked at as just forces that was together, more or less of than a mathematical puzzle is what we see today, where we have technology showing us that mathematical tendencies that all these natural rhythms have. You know what I mean? So it's very profound when we start to understand how the knowledge of the stars, ocean currents, and wind patterns at a much more deeper level, but by understanding the foundational understanding of how it was understood from before, gives us a better foundation to understand and apply these different toolings in a sense to where it's applying to where we can even understand it better rather than reinventing the wheel, or remembering in a sense something that was already such knowledgeable and dynamic as inherently as fluid allows it within us and work with us rather than against it, which we as humans kind of built a barrier around that way of thinking and our mindset already, to where we are stripping it away, slowly but surely, where we start to recognize the complexity within these patterns and these natural rhythms that are interconnected with each other, that's also interconnected with us, to how we build the technology we use today, like how you were explaining within microchips, our phones. GPS is a very fine example, to all a whole lot of other obstacles to opportunities that can deepen our relationship with some of these perspectives. But it's good stuff, it's good stuff too when we start to understand not just its future applications, but its historical foundations that allow us to even further grow from these things. Is good stuff.
Yes, it's very interesting stuff, right? And I couldn't agree more with you about, even looking back from a historical context, your ancestors, in particular the Polynesians, and this acknowledgement right off from a historical context, right? Understanding that there was a reflection in the way that the movements and actions between objects had some sort of relevance with each other, and even going as complex as thinking about something like a warp drive, right? If we were going to have a large means of gravitational force that would essentially accelerate itself, or rip a hole in how we would think of space, and the measure of time, differential difference of space. You could even think like possibly understanding something conceptually of the three body problem, the gravitational ring in which the enabling of objects circulating each other from magnetized sense could operate. And so, yeah, I think it's like, there's a wide array of possibilities, you know, um, with that kind of understanding, I think, as well. And of course, it's more material based too, in that sense. So you have to learn your structures of symmetries of the way that we enact material, generate material in formation. But yeah, I mean, it's a cool topic. I still have some more stuff I want to post up top though, of course. But that video that I did grab is definitely relevant to the conversation, and it's a nice little watch. Actually, when I clicked on it, it didn't open up. Let me make sure that's still a video on YouTube. Anyway, Tyler, welcome up, man. Would you like to jump in on the conversation? Have any thoughts or opinions you'd like to share on anything yet? Ooh, I am sorry. I think I rugged there for a second. Is anyone speaking?
I just was gonna ask. I can't see anybody named Tyler.
Oh, Tyler's a speaker for me. Zero
I thought
zero
he was
point zero
rugging.
zero
I might
triple
be rugging.
triple zero.
Oh, oh, 000. Okay, never mind. He has a dollar sign with the triple zeros.
Yes. Are you guys able to are you able to hear me there, Tyler? Are you guys able to hear him speak?
No,
I
if
Oh,
I
he's speak, I
cannot.
have him as
he may
listening.
have not. He may have not meant to be up there, or was having a an issue rugging there. Give it a sec. Maybe he'll come back. Either way, yeah. I mean, it's a super important topic, and I I think relevant to. Oh, here's a great understanding of something as well. Even to the understanding of conceptually thinking about space and time as a fundamental unit layer of how we perceive our reality to be molded together. And so understanding this gravitational force, the representation of symmetries that are enacting gravity, or mass on each other. I think will also give us a better fundamental understanding in the way that our universe is if it is the way that we of course assume that it is, at least scientifically today, from the documentation.
Even when looking through quantum mechanics lens, uh, the three body problem, becomes even more fascinating in a sense and more challenging because in classical mechanics, a three body problem within that realm is described as chaotic, unpredictable interactions between them that's governed by the gravity. Where when you introduce quantum mechanics, nature of the problem shifts into a deterministic paths, now dealing with probability, wave functions, and different peculiar behavior from particles at quantum scales. Like electrons or atoms interact not just through the classical forces through the quantum fields, but with the quantum three body quantum system, we no longer speak of the precise trajectories, but probability of distributions where the likelihood of these particles might be found using systems governed by like the Schrodinger equation, um, to even other quantum exact solutions that are rare for three interacting bodies where it helps to even deeper the sense of complexities where their interactions are forces of quantum tunneling and entanglement and superposition, which you can even look at that as a three-body problem within the quantum field, tunneling and entanglement and superposition, that leads to the chaotic and unpredictable gravitational interaction that happen in quantum versions, which is yeah, even through the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, man. Yeah, man, this is such a crazy, in-depth thing. Even when I think about it even more, it's been a while since I've thought about something like this, man. Props to you, bro. It's crazy.
No, I appreciate you coming up, and it was actually really props to the individual that brought it up to me earlier today, and it was something that it was a friend of mine. He said, you know, what do you think about the three body problem? And I was like, well, I went pretty in depth with it. And he was like, yeah, actually, I think that fits. And you know, I love that you brought up electrons and atoms as well, right? Because of course the acknowledgement really came by watching celestial bodies, and of course we could observe things symmetrically happening, even more locally, like Fibonacci sequences on things like flowers and plants, right? And so this acknowledgement that even on the microscopic scale, and I keep saying acknowledgement today, it's going to be my word of the day, that the the gravitational pull, the lensing in which the rendering of what we perceive to view as an observer has a symmetrical representation of interaction, saying that, of course, there was a Fibonacci sequence. If you've ever drawn out a Fibonacci diagram or read any sort of the symmetrical representation of actionable states, you see a lot of correlation in interaction. Another way to say this is that there is a scaling of what you could think of as a symmetrical level of interaction. And through this scaling of level of interaction, you create different dimensional aspects which have actionable pull or status and properties of the ontology of all of the other status that exist. And so creating what we perceive, of course, to be gravity. And I think from an atomic scale level, which is, of course, where we're really talking about today. And I think from a technology standpoint is going to be the most beneficial from us from an understanding standpoint publicly. The the ability to understand how the electrons inside of the particular microchip that's inside of our phone or device or robotic unit or large language model, computational system, being able to articulate a synapsis of all of the symmetrical representations of force, mass interacting with other mass is only going to increase the efficiencies of the ways that we understand to lay transistors and layering of transistor attachment material, on microchips to increase the efficiencies of use case, of course. And so you had to go up there 808. So please jump in, man. I'm gonna finish cooking some food right
No, no,
now.
it just this reminded me of a good example that I always like to share when coming to this three body problem. And it's not really doesn't solve it in a sense, it really understood it, like using maglev, the magnetic levitation that the Japanese trains use in their technology, which is a practical application of the principles that relate to the three body problem. Like I said, it doesn't directly solve it. It illustrates the problem itself, demonstrating how you can understand the complex interactions that can lead to innovative engineering solutions, which are done like years ago, where the magnets are employed to lift and propel the train along the track. The technology minimizes um, friction, allowing for much higher speeds, and its using within a magnetic field can be seen as analogous to the forces acting between the three celestial bodies, in the sense that there are multiple components at play: the train, the track, and the magnetic fields, which is precisely managed within their operation, that they understood at a level to apply that understanding of, which is really understanding, like how you said, the complex interactions between the gravitational interactions between each state or proposition. But yeah, my mind went off somewhere else, but yeah, I was thinking about that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I even thought about finance for a particular second there while you were speaking, and in relation to thinking about action reaction, right? And understanding that every action is going to have a reaction, but how symmetrical will that reaction be? Will there be multiple reactions from a singular action? Each one of these could be looked at as separate inferences of an action to a reaction, yet symmetrically operating, each one of these reactions could have an effect on the next reaction or actionable state and sense. So yeah, it's like it's so relevant in so many different ways, but coming from the Newtonian aspect of physics, and then of course acknowledgement of general relativity, starting to understand these concepts of mass and gravity in relation to light bending or the rendering of what we perceive to actually view and the realism of reality. Yeah, I think we're very close. We're at an inflection point. And of course, there's a lot of things going on worldwide today, and I do wish that everyone, especially in this space, remains safe and healthy in all status. So, I of course acknowledge all of the other craziness that might be perceived to be occurring right now, but nonetheless, technologically, I think we're very very close to this prowess of the ability for us to to not only understand domain, but represent domain in the way that we want to see the articulation. Hopefully, more in the loving and empathy uh, possibility side of it. But nonetheless, I think we're very close to that being much more of a collective reality. And 808, please feel free to jump in there. I'm gonna be quiet for one moment here.
You was bringing Newton's law into the framework of understanding the two body problem, which it just shows its interconnectedness between the different bodies involved, whether it is through financial, like finance, or with the gravitational influence that leads to a cascade of reactions that result in a complex or even chaotic behavior, action and reaction, like how you were stating. But by understanding these things and testing a lot of these things out, we start to gain more insight of how these fundamental principles that govern a lot of our systems allow for deeper appreciation for understanding a lot of these mechanics that we use. Some of us use these things without even using them, or understanding that we use them in some of the most simplest forms. Just like I was explaining, riding the train is one of them. It's crazy, right? That is crazy that you would see um, some type of theoretical physics be applied, and think that when we read a lot of these things that is not being applied in a way that is usable within our daily lives, but it has all been applied. Everything's being more interoperable now with different technologies being able to communicate more seamlessly, which is providing even more insights to how things interact with each other on a level where is unprecedented in the terms of the technology we have been using and experiencing throughout our life, especially within the last, what, 10 to 15 years or so. We've seen a drastic level of evolution with a lot of our technology, even within the past 5 years, with how we see the interoperability between all of them, that it's giving us more in-depth knowledge of how to apply them even better or even refine them. Which even we see that in our spaces, we tend to be in every day, blockchain, cryptography, whatever community you're in, we've seen evolution within them as well. And it is crazy because understanding the three body problem and all these other fundamental principles at a much in-depth level, and not even at an in-depth level, we don't even need to get into too crazy about it, just understanding its basicness, and just knowing how profound those are and how much that affects what we do can really enhance just the level of the masses understanding most of these things. So, as we would like to level up as humanity, it will take more than a certain amount of few, a certain handful, or a corner of the world to kind of understand the things that we are using to better apply. You know what I mean? So we see how things go. Like we're already seeing a lot of interesting things come about with some of these technologies we have at our fingertips. Amazing stuff, though.
It's so well said, 808, and I couldn't also agree more. Again, we are so close to this understanding as a collective, as a people. And I say today, right, we don't have many human beings running around. We have a lot of Homo sapiens, and we have few human beings, and it's not in dishonor of anyone to be what we categorize as defined as a human being is a Homo sapient that understands the logic behind the tool sets. And so there are many tool sets nowadays, and it can get very complex. But there are very few in between who actually understand the actionable steps. These complexities of tools will allow us to articulate in the future. And I couldn't agree more on how close we are to this as a collective. I think going forward, because I do love the long ended spaces, and we have such great conversations sometimes, always I should say, really not sometimes, always. There's just the amazing conversations that happen in this space, and I feel like if I shortened the timing, so I'm going to try and keep most spaces to be 45 to 50 minutes or so. Um, I'm doing a test where I think I might get much more viewership on the smaller spaces. And so there's been such great content and information we've already had on so many of the longer spaces that I'm going to start going forward. I'm going to try and keep them around this kind of time frame, 808. And of course, the conversation me and you just had was very high level in many ways and aspects, and also very understandable in many ways and aspects. And so I think the information still is able to get across, and hopefully it gets out there. It is easier to digest because there's shorter periods of time where just the initial clicking on it. Oh, do I want to sit there for an hour and a half? Sometimes people might feel like they have to do the whole clip at once, and so just more digestible for individuals. But it was a great conversation either way, and I love you, man, and aloha and I thank you for coming up, and everyone in the space. I love you guys. I can't reiterate it enough, though, and more. Right, we have many things going on in the world today, but in the United States in particular, there are strikes going on that will affect most likely the transport and operations of businesses alike, and so food and water, can't stress it enough. Hopefully things resolve themselves, and of course that being globally, but can't control the world. 808, any last thoughts?
I just always, always thank you for letting me speak and love you too, bro. And of course, there's always analysis. You know, especially on the elections and stuff. Yeah.
I agree once again, and I thank you for coming, man. So I hope everyone has a great rest of the night and a great rest of the week. I will not be back this Thursday, 4 p.m., but we'll be back Monday next week, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So love you guys. Not everyone.